Hey guys, I'm here to show you another build that I'm working on for a customer. This is a battle rifle build or medium range build. We're not going for super high speed as we would in a CQB build, and we're also not going for super high FPS for a DMR build. We're going to sit right in between the middle. In this case, it's going to be a 450 FPS rifle, and it's not necessarily a low stress build, but it's not going to put as much wear and tear on the parts as those other two builds would. Either way, though, we're putting in some really nice quality parts in here. I'll go over those right now. Starting off, we have an ASG gearbox. I was actually really surprised when I opened up the base gun, which was the ASG, because it is really well shimmed. It's got this nice thick wiring, which is actually really rare, even for the higher end guns, and this gun's relatively cheap. It also comes pre-radiused, which is really nice. That helps mitigate the cracking of the front end of the gearbox, which can happen a lot after a while of use. But then I went ahead and I'm going to put in some different parts. So I'm keeping the cylinder. It's a nice cylinder. Really, you don't need to be thinking about changing these out unless you're putting in like a longer barrel and you want to match the volume. In this case, this one works out fine. It's really polished on the inside, so I'm not worried about it. After that, we got a cylinder head. This is just your standard polycarbonate cylinder head, but this will work perfectly for this kind of build because I've actually installed an air pad here on the bottom. Air pads are different from sorbothane because sorbothane is actually what you hear more, but air pads are actually better in that they don't have memory like sorbothane does. So every time that the piston smacks forward on sorbothane, you'll have a slight delay in how fast the material decompresses, and so you actually can have a little bit of inconsistency in your FPS because the material won't decompress fully before the next cycle. In this case, this material is a lot harder, a lot stronger. It's not going to get scratched up or anything like that. It's very, very tough, and it's the newest thing that's on the market now, and I highly recommend it. I have a bunch of these, and I can throw them in guns for about $5 a piece. Really, really good upgrade, and it really helps dampen the sound and also take that kinetic energy from the piston. So this gearbox really is not going to crack anytime soon. Then after that, I'm going ahead and going to install this Krytac piston. Obviously, Krytac is world renowned by now. Extremely good rifles out of the box, and one of the main things about the Krytacs is their pistons are really, really good, made out of a really solid material, and they have 3 metal teeth on the release side, so that really mitigates any breaking in the future. And so I'm going to throw that in there, heat treat that O-ring, and it should be good to go. Then after that, I'm sticking with just the standard gear set that came with the ASG gearbox. You don't really need to get crazy with your gear sets. I know some people get scared and they think, oh, if my build's going to be, 450 and up, or, between 450 and 500 FPS, I'm going to need some high torque gears or something. That's actually not the case. If your gears are tuned correctly, you have a high torque motor, they're shimmed well, and you have the correct parts, the correct wiring, MOSFET, that stuff, you're really not going to see any problems with 18-to-1 gears. They're like all around really, really good gears, and they're actually pretty torquey as it is. 18-to-1 is actually a pretty torquey gear set. The gear sets that I use for my high-speed builds are 13-to-1, 12-to-1, even all the way down to 10-to-1. So 18-to-1 is actually really, really good middle ground. And there's nothing, you don't really change those out. If you got them shimmed well, they shouldn't break anytime soon. Then I'm also going to be transferring this Nukfet MOSFET from this gearbox over into the ASG gearbox. Originally, we were just going to do a complete from the ground up build, so I already had this gearbox kind of ready to go. But he went ahead and bought that ASG, so I'm just going to transfer that MOSFET over to the ASG. That way everything is just a little bit more streamlined, because you can have some compatibility problems if you try to swap bodies and swap gearbox and stuff. So I just want to completely avoid that and stick with the gearbox that is for that gun. Then after that, I can't really think of anything else that I'm doing. Oh, another cool thing, the ASG nozzle is actually an O-ring nozzle, so it's really, really good, really going to seal well, and there should be really consistent FPS, even just right out of the box, which I was really impressed with. So if you're looking for a starter gun, it looks like ASG might be the way to go. This build is going to be doing about 450 FPS. The barrel is going to be R-hopped, so we're looking at about 200 to 250 feet of range with .3s, I want to say, would probably be the best thing to use. And so it's going to be really, really good build. Oh, last thing I forgot, I'm also throwing in this JG Blue high torque motor. Obviously, you need a high torque motor if you're pulling a heavy spring, and JG Blues are awesome. They can pull a house, so sticking that in there. But that is it, and I will go ahead and have a shooting video once I'm done with this build so you guys can see the final product. Hope you like this video. If you want something like this, guys, not very expensive. The customer in this case isn't really going over even $100, so you can see you can get extreme performance out of very inexpensive guns at a fraction of the cost of what it would take to go and take it to like a local shop or something like that. I do this stuff for a lot cheaper because I believe that people should have guns that are ready to go and be extremely competitive and meet your needs for cheap. People trying to charge an arm and a leg, it's not really my thing to do. So if you guys need my help, go ahead and message me. You guys can give me a call. And I actually have a website that's going to be put up very, very soon. I'm putting the finishing touches on it. You guys will be able to find me on there as well. But anyways, without further ado, I'll go ahead and have an after video once I'm done with this thing, and I'll post it up. Thank you so much.